Alright, so not too long ago, I found myself lost and stranded somewhere in the desert. And I walked for what seemed to be thousands of miles, even though it was probably only 10 miles. And you're probably trying to figure out, why was I lost in the desert? Well, as you all know, in my past life, I like to frequent truck stops. And I got to know this trucker named Jebediah very well. But one day, I was hitchhiking, and I ended up in the desert without any clothes. I couldn't remember what happened for the last however many days. Anyway, I was walking, and I ended up in what's called an aircraft boneyard. There are a few down in the desert. It's where the military puts aircraft when they're done being used. And a storm hit, and I had to seek shelter, so I found a big plane, and I went and hid in it for what seemed like thousands of days, but was probably only a few hours. I was scared, I was cold, I was lonely, and I needed the Lord. Well, I prayed, and lo and behold, the storm went away. Because if you're a true Christian, God answers your prayers. So once the storm passed, I stepped out of my makeshift shelter. Once I got out of the shelter, I looked, and there was a brand new 747 in the middle of this junkyard. So through deductive reasoning, I realized that the only way the 747 arrived here is via the tornado. And now I believe in evolution. I'm just kidding, I don't. Let's talk to our evolutionist here and see what she has to say about this story. Hello, Rachel. What do you think?
I half wasn't listening. I don't even understand what the point of the whole entire story was. And what happened to you and Jebediah? Why did you not have clothes on? Did you take pictures of this plane? And then you said that you accept evolution? I'm really confused. Did you get raped?
Alright, one question at a time here, Ms. Brown. The first thing is Jebediah is a good Christian man. He would never do something like that to me. I think what happened is he got kidnapped. And then there was the storm and then when we were going through Kentucky, but then there was the policeman too.
He was kidnapped, but he was on a bus? His own bus? Didn't you say he was on a bus?
No, I do not have any pictures of the 747.
I'm just really confused, like, Jebediah had a bus, but he was kidnapped, and then you ended up naked? At a desert bus stop?
The tornado is what made the 747 happen.
Yeah, well, we both know that's bullshit, but I'm serious. Why did you end up naked? After meeting a man named Jebediah in the desert.
Joke's on you because that never really happened. The plane, that is. I was just trying to show you how silly evolution is. Because that's exactly what you folks say.
Do you want me to actually talk about science? Are we talking about reality at the moment?
Yeah, we can actually talk about creationism if you'd like.
No, I definitely didn't say discuss creationism because there is really nothing worth talking about with creationism. I mean, you're making a claim that a tornado going through a junkyard, which you didn't even see. You said you hid and then you walked out and then bam, there's a plane there and you're like, obviously it was a tornado. Like I have a problem with that. And then you said, I accept evolution, then you don't. So I'm assuming you're using the argument that evolution is equivalent to a tornado blowing through like a junkyard making a 747, thus evolution's bullshit.
Well, that was the joke. That was the whole reason why I told the story, is because I was just trying to show you how silly evolution was and why creationism was right.
So the first half of this conversation was complete bull.
Well, you did say you weren't listening at all, so it actually had some validity to it. Oh.
Touché.
Touché, thank you. So I clearly won this debate again.
No, you definitely didn't. We actually haven't discussed anything scientifically.
Well, shoot.
We're gonna just completely ignore the fact that I think you might have been raped by a bus man named Jebediah.
You don't have any.
I don't think that story's not true.
You weren't even there. You weren't there.
I'm pretty sure that story was true.
Were you there?
I wasn't there, but that does not mean that there's not evidence. I can see it in your eyes.
Well, I can also see Satan in your eyes, but you don't see me using that as evidence, do you?
Evidence for what?
You being possessed by the devil and while you're spouting these lies of evolution.
Can we talk about science yet?
We are talking about science.
I don't think Satan is science unless you're trying to say that, you know, Satan is responsible for all the fossils that I dig up and work on. Are you trying to say that, too?
Yeah, that is true. But for the record, God told Satan to put the fossils there, so it's not really all Satan's fault. It's something that God did because he wanted to test out true believers, and he wanted to give us all a test, so there is some validity to that.
So you're saying that God told Satan to put fossils in the ground in the organization they are to test faith?
Well, if you read the book of Job, God also does the same thing. He lets Satan do harm to Job.
Yeah, that's complete bullshit, and there really is no point in continuing this discussion, so let's actually talk about science again. Since that's why I'm here, as a person who reads evolution, and you're spouting claims about how evolution is equivalent to a tornado going through a junkyard.
Alright, Miss Smarty Pants, let's see what you have to say. Go ahead.
Well, they're not equivalent whatsoever, because that is complete randomness, trying to throw parts together and them actually working and making something that it's a very fragile system to be able to throw all this shit together and bam, you make a 747 or whatever the hell you said. But evolution doesn't work like that. It works through random mutations. You have non-random selection of those mutations that can cause an effect that is neutral. Nothing really happens. It can change an amino acid that only has a little bit of a change that you don't really notice. You can have a beneficial change, you can have a negative change, and then natural selection is selecting upon those genes, again, which are based on random mutations. Thus, natural selection creating evolution, creating the change of a gene percent in a population of animals is based on a non-random selection. So that's not like a tornado going through a junkyard at all. It's the complete opposite.
Can I say something though real quick? You've said the word random quite a bit. And the reason why it's exactly like a tornado going through a junkyard is because that is a random act. And since tornadoes going through a junkyard creating a brand new 747 is random, that's pretty much what evolution is. You just said it yourself.
You didn't listen.
I listened to everything you said.
You didn't listen to a word I said. You didn't listen to a word I said. You just heard the word random. And then you just sat there thinking, yep, it's random. I'm not listening.
Actually, I was listening to everything you said. There was just some parts that you're using a lot of big words. I actually covered this on one of my videos. You were using big words to try to trip me up, to try to fool me.
What big words did I use? I'm right, you're wrong, you're stupid, I'm not.
See that? She called me stupid. This is how they argue. Now, regarding these big words that you used evolution, random evolution. There was a couple more that were in there, but they were so large that I couldn't comprehend the enormity of them. And again, that's just another point. We don't have to discuss this anymore. We're okay, but let's keep going on with this whole random thing. Yep.
Can you at least admit you're not interested in learning anything at all in this discussion? Because I know you didn't listen to a word I said. And then you just said the word random is a big word, and then I offer to explain those words, and you ignore me. So I'm pretty sure.
I'll tell you what I am interested in.